Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So today's theme is Sadhu, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Seva. It was all perfect. You handle that. Don't change. Go back to the previous sound. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. So the definition of bhakti or surrender or sharanagati is described as Bhagavat bhaktitah sarvam iti utsrujya vidherapi Kainkarya Krishna padaika ashriyatvam sharanagati. So sharanagati or surrender means three things. First, Kainkaryam Krishna padaika, to be focused on serving the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Second, Bhagavat bhaktitah sarvam, accepting bhakti as end all and be all. And third, iti utsrujya vidher api, giving up anything else which comes in the path of bhakti. Even if something is in Shastra, but if that Shastric principle is opposed to the principle of pure bhakti, then we do not follow that. So these three come under the category of Sharanagati, definition of Sharanagati. And when we are speaking about Sharanagati, that demonstration of Sharanagati is shown by the sadhus, the devotees, the Vaishnavas. Jnanavalambakaha kechit karmavalambakaha vayam tu haridasanam padatrana avalambakaha. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would love this shloka very much and he would repeatedly quote it. And what does this verse say? Some people take shelter of jnana, others take shelter of karma, but I take shelter of the footwear of the devotees, which has the dust of their feet connected to that. So I take shelter of the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees. And therefore, Vaishnava Seva is the main principle which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to establish following Name Ruchi. Name Ruchi means aspiration to serve, and Vaishnava Seva means the actions to serve. Those activities by which we engage in seva. And Jivedaya means giving other conditioned souls access to serve. So today we will discuss on this principle of sadhu seva, the principle of sadhu, the principle of Vaishnava qualities. So I'll begin with Ramayana. Lord Ram, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughna, each of these four brothers demonstrate a very, very important quality which sadhus have. Lord Ram represents integrity. The difference between integrity and honesty is to speak what I have done, and integrity is to do as I have spoken. So Lord Ram, at the very young age of 12, is requested by Vishwamitra Muni to come along with him to kill the demons. Ram's father Dasharath Maharaj is not at all convinced. But Dasharath Maharaj is the one who has prayed that now that Ram is 12 years old, may there be an opportunity for him to get married. Many times we offer prayer, but in response to that prayer, how does Krishna reciprocate? What kind of opportunities Krishna sends is not within our control. So Dasharath Maharaj has prayed, may Lord get married, may Ram get married soon. But in response, Vishwamitra Muni comes and says, I want Ram to come with me to kill deadly, dangerous demons. And Dasharath Maharaj is again and again arguing, Ram is not yet qualified, he is not yet ready. But Vishwamitra Muni is very angry, very upset, and he insists, I want Ram only. Finally, Vasishtha agrees. And Vishwamitra Muni points to Vasishtha and says, Vasishtopi Mahateja, that if Dasharath Maharaj you have doubt whether Ram is qualified or not, you are overwhelmed by your fraternal affection. But you ask Vasishtha Rishi and he will agree that Ram has the power. And he specifically says this because Vasishtopi Mahateja, even Vasishtha will agree with me. Why does he say that? Because historically, Vishwamitra and Vasishtha have disagreed on every topic under the sun. They have never agreed on anything ever. But he says, now considering the principle of Lord Ram as the supreme, he will agree. So Vasishtha tells Dasharath Maharaj, you must allow Ram to go. Otherwise, your entire dynasty will be destroyed. So Dasharath Maharaj, with great hesitation, surrenders to the instruction of Vasishtha Rishi. So this is a great example of how even the greatest king was willing to submit and surrender to the instruction of the gurus and the sadhus. Lord Ram leaves with Vishwamitra Muni. It's a long journey they undertake, and finally Lord Ram successfully destroys the demons Tataka and Subahu and sends Maricha 800 miles into the ocean with the power of his arrow. Now Vishwamitra Muni decides to bring Ram and Lakshman to Mithila. And there Janak Maharaj has declared a huge, powerful sacrifice. It's a competition where anybody who could lift that bow of Lord Shiva and string it could get married to his daughter Sita. The bow was very special. It was so powerful and so heavy that 8,000 Kshatriya warriors would be required to lift that bow and walk 2 steps. After they walked 2 steps, they would feel so tired that they would have to place that bow on the ground and rest for half an hour. Then only they could lift it again. That was the extent of how strong and how heavy that bow was. It so happened that when Sita was only 5 years old. She was playing with her friends. Her friends came and reported that there are flowers on the tree. We want to get those flowers from those branches. We are not able to reach to those branches. And Sita said, "Oh, my father has a big bow. It's the bow of Lord Shiva. It's very big. We will use it to pluck the flowers." So the friends were very happy. They said, "Yes, yes, please do it for us." Sita jumps into that palace, picks up that huge bow, which is typically lifted by 8,000 warriors, and Sita lifts it with her left hand, brings it to the branches, pulls the flowers down, plucks the flowers, and places the bow back at its original position, and the ministers of Janak Maharaj get a heart attack. They cannot imagine what they have just seen. They report this to Janak Maharaj, that this is what we saw. Sita lifted that bow on her own. And Janak Maharaj looked at them and said, "Are you drunk or what? How is it possible anybody can lift that?" And so Janak Maharaj becomes very worried and comes to Sita and says, "Sita, what did you do with that bow? With Mahesh Chapa, with the bow of Lord Shiva?" And Sita says, "Father, I picked up that bow, used it to pluck the flowers, but I kept it back safely. There is no problem. It is right there, it is safe. I did not harm the bow." So when Janak Maharaj hears this, he becomes filled with anxiety. And what is his anxiety? Who will marry Sita? If Sita's arms are so powerful that they could lift this bow in one hand, which requires 8,000 warriors to lift. Tomorrow when Sita gets married and she embraces her husband with such powerful arms, the husband should not become chutney. So he said, the husband should be at least strong enough that he can lift this bow. So there should be a minimum criteria. So he declared this, and interestingly, thousands of warriors came and tried to lift that bow. And amongst the warriors who came and tried to lift the bow was also Ravana. Ravana also tried and he failed. Which means what? Sita's arms were more powerful than Ravana's. So when Ravana tried to kidnap Sita, Sita could have given one slap. And Ravana's 10 heads would have gone flying. But why she did not do that? So that kathakars can have katha. We need to have topics to discuss which makes us feel, let us take shelter of the Lord, let us pray for shelter and just see how she is suffering, and then we develop feeling for that. So in order to churn our emotions, the Lord enacts pastimes in which the Lord places his own consort in difficult situations. Because when Hanumanji came to Lanka, one of the offers Hanumanji made to Sita was, "You just sit on my back, I will jump back, and I'll take you to Ram in the next moment. Ramayana is over. We don't have to wait for Ravana and this and that. You just sit on my back, I'll jump." Sita said, "No, I cannot do that." Hanuman said, "What's the problem?" Sita said, "I don't have faith that you are powerful." So Hanumanji increased his size, reached the sky and came back to the normal size, and says, "What do you think?" Sita says, "Okay, size-wise you are powerful. I am convinced about your size." Then she says, "Still I can't sit on your back and go with you." Hanuman says, "Why?" Says, "Because you are a parapurusha. You are not my husband. I cannot touch another man." Hanumanji says, "I am your son. If the son takes the mother, what's the problem?" And then Sita says, "No, I have another issue." "What?" "That when you are taking me on the sky, when I look down into the ocean, my mind may reel and I may get nervous, I may fall into the ocean because of the heights, because of seeing the ocean from the heights. Hanumanji said, ocean is your father. Lakshmi ji came from the ocean. How can you ever be afraid of your father? Don't make excuses, just sit and we will jump back. So at that time Sita Devi says, actually the real reason is that I am worried about my husband's mission. Lord Ram had a mission. Just imagine what will people in the future say if I jump on your back and you take me back. For all time to come, people will say, a demon kidnapped Sita and a monkey rescued Sita. What was the husband doing? So there may be questions raised on Lord Ram's potency. That, did he do his duty as a husband? And number two, in future, when conditioned souls are in trouble, and as discussed, problem can be solved, difficulties can be fixed, but crisis and calamity, we have to tolerate. We have to only be prayerful, be patient, be dependent. In such situations of crisis and calamity, Lord Ram has come to give his holy name, to show utter dependence on him. And therefore, unless I demonstrate that helpless dependence on Lord Ram, how will the future generations get that example? And therefore, I will be totally dependent on Lord Ram, wait for him patiently till he comes and rescues me. Thirdly, Hanumanji, most importantly, I have to demonstrate the principle of compassion. And the compassion I have to demonstrate is for all these other women who have been brought from different parts of the universe by Ravana. Sundari Raghunathasya Surastri Dukkhashantaye Dashananasya Bhavane Dashamasan. The 10 months I have been here in Ravana's captivity, I have seen all of these other women also suffering. If I sit on your back, I escape, I will be relieved of suffering, but what about others? If I continue suffering here in the captivity of Ravana, when Lord Ram comes along with his army, then not only myself but all of these will also be saved. So therefore the original source of all compassion and divine qualities, as described in the Bhagavatam, Titikshava, Karunika, Suhrda, Sarvadehinam, Ajatashatra Sadhavo, Sadhu Bhushanam. It all comes from the Supreme Lord and His consorts who are demonstrating all of these divine qualities. Tolerance, humility, compassion, patience, and all of these are described as Sadhu Bhushanam. Sadhu Bhushanam means ornaments, or as described by our Vaishnava Acharyas, medals of victory. When one is fighting a battle and when one demonstrates powerful bravery, chivalry, then the army gives an award, medal, right? And that medal is earned. One of our devotees, before he joined ISKCON, he was in the Vietnam War, and he says in his story that he had no inclination to fight. He was perfectly peace-loving, and he was fearful of war and guns. But he was drafted and sent to the war. So in the Vietnam jungles, he was going ahead with his friend with gun in his hand, and suddenly there were bullets from the opposite direction, and his friend got hit, and his friend fell on the ground. At that moment, the fear of death completely enveloped this devotee, and he thought, The next bullet is going to hit me. I don't want to get killed. So he immediately pulled up his friend's dead body in front of him as a shield, that if the next bullets come, it will hit the dead body only. I will be saved. And keeping that dead body as a shield, he started walking back to his own camp, and with great difficulty reached his camp and threw the dead body on the ground. When the doctors examined that dead body, they found that he was not dead. He was still alive, miraculously alive. They did a surgery for several hours, revived him, and the army gave this devotee bravery award for saving friend from battlefield. Risking his own life. So he said, I never shared what was my intention in bringing that. But the fact is, if there is a demonstration of bravery, there is an award. So when the devotees take up the responsibility of fighting against Maya, material energy, Krishna recognizes that fight. Krishna recognizes the risk which the devotees are taking. And so when Krishna is impressed with the devotee's effort, then Krishna blesses the devotee with Vaishnava qualities. Those Vaishnava qualities are the ornaments, are the award which is given by Krishna in reciprocation, out of gratitude, that you are fighting for me, and therefore I am pleased to award you the medals of victory, Titikshava, tolerance, Karunika, compassion, Suhrda, Sarvadehinam, your feeling of friendliness, of being a well-wisher to all the souls, Ajata Shatra, a heart which is free from feelings of enmity towards others, Shantah, peace, Sadhu Bhushanam, these are the ornaments of a sadhu. And therefore, when Lord Ram is brought by Vishwamitra Muni along with Lakshman right in front of that bow, and when Janak Maharaj tells Vishwamitra Muni, these two young powerful personalities seem to be also capable of lifting this bow. Let us have them make this effort. So Vishwamitra Muni turns to Ram and says, Vatsa Rama Dhanur Pashya. My dear Ram, please have a look at this bow. And as soon as Vishwamitra Muni tells this to Ram, Lord Ram comes right in front of the bow, looks at that bow. Now what Vishwamitra Muni has given instruction, Vatsa Rama Dhanur Pashya. Have a look, see this bow. Now Ram comes and sees. So he could have said, now I have seen, I am going. So the Acharyas explain that there are 6 categories of sevaks. What are the 6 categories of sevaks? Alir Bana Jyotishaka Stabdi Bhuta Kimekaka Preshaka Preshita Sarve Shad Ete Sevaka Adhama. These 6 are considered to be not good examples, bad examples of sevak, to be avoided, not to be followed. Ali means like honeybee. Honeybee goes from flower to flower, capturing nectar from one flower and capturing nectar from the next flower and the next flower, which is fickle, not steady. So some sevaks are like that. As soon as you give them seva, they'll take the seva and go to someone else and take seva there also. And then think maybe that other seva is better. And they'll keep jumping from seva to seva. And you cannot find them steady doing one seva. Unreliable. Bana means arrow. Once the arrow is released by the bow, it is never to be seen again. So some sevaks will come and say, any seva? And when you give them the seva, they'll disappear. And you have to keep searching them in ether, where they have disappeared. Easy journey to other planets. You can't find them again. Jyotishakaha. Third category is the sevak will come and you tell them. They will say, what is the seva? And as soon as you give them the seva, they'll say, we will complete this and take up this in future. Excellent seva you are given. But I am busy now. I can't do it now. I am not qualified now. For n number of reasons, we will do this in future. Jyotishi, just like Jyotishi tells future, Jyotishaka. Fourth, Stabdi Bhuta. As soon as the sevak hears the instruction, the sevak becomes stunned and looks at the master as if, what's wrong with you? And the master gets bewildered. Did I do some aparadha or what? Kim ekaka. The fifth category is the sevak. When he is given the seva, he thinks, why I have been given this seva? Why not them? Why not them? Why not others? Preshaka Preshita. Sixth category is, as soon as you give the seva, that person gives the seva and hands it over to somebody else. Immediate delegation. And then when you ask what happened, like, we don't know. I had told him, I had told them, we don't know what happened. So therefore, what is the ideal type of sevak? It's called Ekatma Bhav. So when Lord Vishnu was resting, two demons came to attack, and a lady came out of Lord Vishnu's nostril, and with weapons she destroyed these two demons. When Lord Vishnu got up, he looked at this lady and said, without even giving you the instruction, you have done what my heart was saying. Who are you? And she said, I came from you. You should know who I am. And Lord Vishnu looked at the lady and said, because you appeared on the 11th day, you will be known as Ekadashi Devi. And therefore, anyone who does Ekadashi Vrata, the reason for doing Ekadashi Vrata is by performing the Ekadashi Vrata, we please Ekadashi Devi. When we please Ekadashi Devi, some part, few drops of her unlimited Ekatma Bhav percolates in our heart. And what is Ekatma Bhav? Perfect alignment and synergy between the master's desire and the servant's desire. We are able to perfectly align with the desire of another without any gap. Total synergy. So that's what is known as Ekatma Bhav. And therefore, this Ekatma Bhav is extremely important for us to be able to serve. And therefore, sadhus act as instruments by which we get the opportunity to serve and practice and understand how I am getting transformed in my desires to be able to serve them with full enthusiasm at every moment. So therefore here, as soon as Lord Ram, he comes in and Lord Ram sees this situation, Lord Ram has the Ekatma Bhav. He perfectly understands, yes, this is the desire of Vishwamitra Muni. That when he's saying Pashya, just see, he doesn't mean just see, but he wants me to actually lift. So Lord Ram immediately lifts that bow, strings that bow, and the bow breaks into two. And then ultimately, practically everybody in that assembly faints to the ground by hearing that loud sound. Lord Ram has demonstrated that power. The next moment Lord Ram sees from the corner of his eyes Sita Devi walking forward with garland in her hands. Lord Ram is bewildered. He looks at her and says, my Guru spoke about seeing this bow. He did not say anything about a wedding. So I cannot cross the line. So therefore, yes, you are very beautiful, you are attractive, and I have earned you in this, but the instruction to me so far is just see the bow, not see the girl. So therefore, I cannot cross the boundary. I am going back to my Guru and reporting what I have done. So Lord Ram demonstrates integrity. He was given a seva. As part of the seva, he had the opportunity to earn a few more facilities. Some more facilities came his way as part of that seva only. But Lord Ram made sure that he goes back and reports, I did this seva. And then suddenly this girl comes with garland. You tell me what to do. So when Sita hears this, she is also very impressed, because she could see that here is a personality with total integrity. And so then finally they go back to Vishwamitra Muni goes and tells Dasharath Maharaj, and the marriage actually happens. And during the marriage, Sita Devi is standing with her garland. She is unable to reach Lord Ram. Lord Ram is standing tall, and Lord Ram has garland in his hand. Sita is looking at Ram. Ram is looking at Sita. Sita is expecting Ram to bend down. Ram is not willing to bend down. Why should I bend down? And so both are standing looking at each other. Janak Maharaj is in anxiety. With great difficulty, this relationship came till this stage. Will it break down now because of height difference? So as Janak Maharaj is watching, Lakshman immediately jumps forward, falls at the feet of Lord Ram. As soon as Lakshman offers obeisances to Ram, Lord Ram bends down. When Lord Ram bends down, Sita puts the garland. And so Lord Ram represents integrity, a very important quality, and Lakshman represents service attitude. The second very important quality of a sadhu is seva bhav. What is the meaning of the word Lakshman? Sarva priyakaras tasya ramasya pisharirata Lakshmano lakshmi sampanna bahir prana ivappara. Sarva priyakaras tasya. For Lakshman, everything about Ram was super attractive. For Lakshman, Ram was bahir prana. We have the antah prana, the prana which is inside, the air, the life air within. But when Lakshman would see Ram walking, he would think, here is my external life, my life air personified. Bahir prana. For a kshatriya to serve another kshatriya is very difficult. Usually it is never seen that a kshatriya serves kshatriya like a menial servant. But Lakshman wanted to demonstrate that beyond all kinds of varnashrama principles is the original constitutional position for every soul. Jivera Swarupoy Krishnera Nityadas. So therefore Lakshman took up that role of eternal service. And so the word Lakshman means Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanna Bahir Prana. The word Lakshman comes from the word Lakshmi Sampanna, one who is endowed with Lakshmi. What is Lakshmi? Seva Rupi Lakshmi. The Lakshmi which embodies service. For Lakshman, that opportunity to serve Ram was his greatest wealth. Nothing else was dear to him. In this world, when we have wealth, there is great fear of losing that wealth. A big businessman came up to me and he was telling me, markets were going down. You know how it is in business. Markets were going down and this businessman came to me wearing a saffron t-shirt. I said, oh, you're looking very, amazing in this. He said, yeah, I'm thinking the way markets are, sometime I may have to wear this only. So I said, how are things? He said, too much anxiety. Too much anxiety. I'm losing money like anything. And I'm thinking that so much of wealth I have, it is like water in an ocean. But just like water in ocean cannot quench the thirst because it is salty, all this wealth and the ups and downs, it is not quenching my thirst only. But I see, Gauranga Prabhu, you are chanting Hare Krishna. You are peaceful. You have got water in a well, not like water in ocean. Ocean water is salty. So I have got ocean water inside me. You have got well water inside you. Can you give me few drops of your well water so that I can also quench my thirst? I said, definitely. Please take few drops of my well water, and why don't you give few drops of your ocean water? The guy disappeared for the next 6 months. Not to be seen. Because he got so afraid that I'm going to force him to write a check only. So when it comes to Lakshmi, Lakshman is demonstrating Deeptim Agnim Aranyam Va Yadi Ramam Pravekshati Praveshtum Tatra Mam Devi Tvam Purvam Abadharaya. When Lord Ram tells Lakshman, you cannot come with me to the forest, he protests. Falling at the feet of Ram, turning his eyes towards Sita Devi, he prays to Sita Devi, my dear Sita, Seva to Ram can only be attained through your grace. Please convince Lord Ram. My conviction and my commitment to Ram is such, Deeptim Agnim Aranyam Va. Even if there is a burning forest fire and I see Ram entering, Yadi Ramam Pravekshati, if Ram is entering, Praveshtum Tatra Mam Devi, I want to enter that forest fire before Ram. So therefore, I am totally committed to serving him in all circumstances, in all situations. And when Sumantra tells Lord Ram, I am going back to Dasharath, I am leaving you in the forest, what is my message? Ram says, I have no message. Sita Devi says, please offer my respects to Dasharath and all the other queens. Sumantra turns to Lakshman and says, what is your message? And Lakshman says, Aham tabat maharaje pitrutvam no palakshaye bhrata bharatascha bandhuscha pitascha mama raghava. My dear Sumantra, you go and tell Dasharath that from this day onwards, I am cutting off my ties with him as his son. From this day onwards, he is no longer my father. Pitrutvam na upalakshaye. I don't see him as my father. Sumantra is shocked. He said, what are you saying? Why are you making such heavy statement? And Lakshman says, because of Ram being banished to the forest, millions of Ayodhya Vasis are affected. Millions of Vaishnavas are hurt. Their heart is broken. If someone is offending millions of devotees like this, I cannot continue my relationship with such a Vaishnava Aparadi. and therefore I am cutting off my ties. And go and tell that King Dasharath that Bhrata Bhartascha Bandhuscha Pitascha Mama Raghava. From this day onwards, Lord Ram is my father, my well-wisher, my friend, my parent, my everything. So Lakshman was totally dedicated to serving Lord Ram in all circumstances. Therefore, his name is Lakshmano, which means Lakshmi Sampanna, one who is filled with the wealth of service to the lotus feet of Lord Ram. Service means there will be challenges, because you are trying to please the master, and the master's desires are many times difficult to understand. Sita and Ram are in the forest with Guha. It is late at night. Sita and Ram are offered straw to sleep. Both of them immediately hit the ground, they go to sleep. Lakshman takes a sword in his hand and he starts circumambulating Sita and Ram, guarding them at night. Guha watches this. Guha comes to Lakshman and says, Sita and Ram are sleeping. Why are you still awake with sword in hand? Lakshman says, Sita and Ram are used to sleeping in the opulent bed of Ayodhya and they are sleeping on the straw. The goddess of fortune is sleeping on the straw. How can I sleep? I have taken a vow that for the next 14 years I am not going to sleep. I am simply going to guard them day and night and serve them. Therefore, I have the sword in my hand to protect them from the attack of the demons. And Lakshman continued circumambulating with sword in hand. This is what Lakshman told Guha of his intention. But Guha had a doubt. Guha steps back and then he thinks, Lakshman is carrying the sword in the hand and is awake at night because Lakshman is an agent of Bharat who has been sent by Bharat to kill Ram at night. I know that. Who has told him? Nobody. And so Guha takes an arrow, places it on a bow. Behind the bushes, hiding from Lakshman, he starts circumambulating, pointing the arrow at Lakshman. With the intention of what? I will not allow Ram to be harmed. I will protect Ram from Lakshman. Who gave him that seva? Nobody. Self-inspired. And so Lakshman is circumambulating with sword in hand. Guha is circumambulating, pointing the arrow at Lakshman. Fully attentive. Jai Sri Ram. He is fully in Ram Bhav. He is fully convinced this is what Ram needs at this moment. Now, that's not the end of the story. Guha's soldiers look at this scene. And one soldier asks another soldier, what is our king doing? What is Guha doing? And the other soldier says, can't you see? He is not satisfied being king of the forest. He wants to be king of Ayodhya. What do you mean? Arey, look at his arrow. It is pointed towards Ram. He wants to kill Ram. So that is another rumor. So Guha has his arrow pointed at Lakshman and his soldiers start discussing how Guha wants to kill Ram. And another soldier says, Guha may be my king, but Ram is the ultimate. I will not allow Guha to kill Ram. Jai Sri Ram. And then others say, come on, we should do our best to protect Ram from Guha. Behind Guha, behind the trees and the bushes, hundreds of soldiers of Guha take their arrows pointing towards Guha with full attentiveness that the moment Guha tries to release the arrow and kill Ram, we will kill him. So that night, The only two people who slept peacefully were Sita and Ram. Everybody else was having total doubt on each other. So therefore, Lakshman is trying to serve with his best intention. But even when we serve with the best intentions, sometimes there will be misinterpretation of our intentions. And then the enthusiasm goes down. Right? Prabhupada's servant was taking some kachoris for Srila Prabhupada. And he gave the kachoris to Prabhupada to eat. Prabhupada said, I will eat the kachoris tomorrow. He took one piece and he said, remaining I will eat tomorrow. Keep it for tomorrow. So the servant brought the kachoris, went to the kitchen. And in the kitchen when Mataji was cooking, so this servant told this lady, I am keeping the kachoris in this corner in the kitchen. I will take it tomorrow to give to Prabhupada. This lady was cooking. She said, kitchen is very dangerous place to keep any prasad like this. It will not remain till tomorrow. And I can't take responsibility of its security. You better take it. He says, no, I don't have any other place. This is the place. You are responsible. And he kept that kachori and he left. Next day he came and he asked this lady again, where is that kachori? I don't see it. She said, I told you not to keep it here. And he said, but I told you, you take care. And there was like an argument. And he said, now it's time for me to take the kachori to Prabhupada. What do I do? So that lady was busy cooking and she was thinking that this person is disturbing me unnecessarily. So she said, if Prabhupada asks what happened to the kachori, you tell him some cat entered the kitchen and cat ate the kachori. Cats keep coming to the kitchen, you can tell him that. So she didn't take it seriously and she just made that comment. So he goes to Srila Prabhupada and the servant goes to Prabhupada, spends some time serving, comes back. When he comes back to the kitchen, so this lady smiles at this servant thinking that he must have been chastised nicely. And she says, what did Prabhupada say? And the servant said, Prabhupada said, whoever said cat has eaten, that person has eaten. And she said, how can Prabhupada say that? My intentions are being questioned. I am serving with, such pure intention, pure thought. How could he even think like that? And then her mind went into a storm. And then she thought, no. The important thing is Prabhupada wants kachori. So I should not get bewildered. She controlled herself and goes to another kitchen, gets some dough and makes fresh kachoris and sends. And then the servant comes back and tells her, Prabhupada said these kachoris were better than yesterday's. And he had 5 of them. So therefore, Lord Ram represents integrity, Lakshman represents service attitude, but one can only continue serving if one has the ability to deal with all kinds of accusations on our intentions. And not only Lakshman, the personification of that was Bharat. So the third brother, Bharat, represents tolerance, a very important quality. What does tolerance mean? The willingness to go through challenging situations, provoking situations, agitating situations, but still not react. Understanding that yes, this is the Lord's plan and Lord's desire. So therefore Bharat comes from the word Bharavahi iti Bharata. Bharavahi means one who could tolerate heavy provocations without becoming angry. Because when we are provoked, we become angry. So Bharat was accused of being party to the conspiracy. Ayodhya Vasis accused, you are responsible, you are co-conspirator with Kaikeyi. Bharat had no role to play. Vasishtha Rishi also told him. He was not allowed to offer the last rites to Dasharath Maharaj, saying, Vasishtha said, Dasharath while dying, he said, at no cost should Bharat be allowed to touch my body because he's a sinful soul. He's a demon. He has conspired against me, against Ram. Do not allow him to touch my body. Bharat was shocked. He has to spend his entire life with the thought that this is how my father thought about me just before departing. I have no way to clarify. So therefore he was carrying that heavy load of misunderstanding. And then Lord Ram gave him the task. You take care of Ayodhya and the administration. You administer Ayodhya Vasis, most of whom do not like you. It is very difficult to administer a group of people who don't like you. It's suffocating. So Bharat Maharaj would take bath early in the morning at 1:30 in Sarayu. Why? Because after 2:30, the Ayodhya Vasis would come to take a bath. And when they would see Bharat, they would become so angry and upset, they would take stones and hit Bharat. So therefore Bharat, for 14 years, was administering Ayodhya from Nandigram, accepting the heavy responsibility of administration without accepting any of the facility and enjoyment of a king. He was an embodiment and an emblem of tolerance. And therefore one can only tolerate when one is free from all the anarthas, when one is free from anger, when one is free from all of these principles, right? So I was, giving a talk at Yeravada jail in Pune, and this was like 500 prisoners were sitting in front of me. And I really like jail program because you don't need advertisement for getting the crowd. So 500 prisoners were sitting, and I gave a talk and I asked for questions. One prisoner raised his hand and said, I have a question. I said, ask. He said, I want to come on the stage and ask the question. I looked at the commissioner of police, my friend, and said, who is this? And the commissioner whispered in my ear, he has committed 12 murders. I said, am I going to be 13th? Why does he want to come on the stage? He says, no, let him come. This guy comes on the stage, asks the question. Everybody is like, extremely impressed with that question, that there is a Pandit amongst us also. And I gave the answer. And after that I asked him, at such a young age, how you committed so many crimes? And he said, when I am provoked and anger rises in my heart, my discrimination goes blind. There is a blackout. I can't see anything. But now I'm happy that something auspicious has happened. I said, what? He says, in the jail, all of us are asked to do various tasks. So my task is to translate books in Braille language for the blind. And the recent book I am translating into Braille is Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada. And he said, reading this Bhagavad Gita, I am inspired to also transform myself. And so we started a jail program which went successfully for the next 4 years. And at least 50 prisoners, hardcore criminals, they started chanting 16 rounds. So Bharat represents the principle of tolerance. Tolerance means there is provocation, but one resists to react in a violent way, in an angry way. And therefore, Sahishnu means to be tolerant. And the fourth brother, Shatrughna, represents another very important quality of a sadhu, which is humility, free from pride. What is the meaning of the word Shatrugna? Shatrugna means one who kills his enemy. In the track record of Shatrugna, he killed only one demon, Lavanasur. For killing one demon, to give him the name Shatrugna, is like saying, you call somebody, you are book distribution incarnation. What is your record? He has distributed one small book. It will be too much. It's a hyperbole. So how can somebody call him Shatrugna when he does not have any track record of killing too many people? So that Shatru refers to the enemy of ego. He has conquered over his ego. Gacchata matulakulam bharatena tadanaga. Shatrugna nitya shatrugna nita priti puraskrita. So Valmiki Ramayana gives the definition of each one of these personalities very clearly. Why is he called Shatrugna? Shatrugna nitya shatrugna nita. Nita means to carry, just like this watch. I just pick it up and I carry, and this watch does not protest. Why? Priti puraskrita. There is a bond of intimacy and friendship where a person doesn't feel there is a difference between the master's will and my will. It is the same. The other person's will is same as my will. And there is such depth of intimacy and trust that even the master can just tell the servant, let's go and do this, without even waiting for the response. That level of confidence is there. That level of comfort is there. That kind of collaborative mindset is there. There is no feeling or sense of competition, conflict. The conscience is clear. So therefore, Shatrugna represents that consciousness. Crystal clear, pure consciousness. Where the whole of Ayodhya is accusing Bharat. But Shatrugna continues to be loyal to Bharat. That can only happen when one is free from all sense of false ego and false prestige. His humility personified. Shatrugna, nitya shatrugna, nitaha priti puraskrita. And therefore, Bharat Maharaj could order Shatrugna, let's go with, go here, go there, and he would be ready. So therefore, madhuklivam cha madhvike krute karma shubha shubhe bhaktanam karmanam chaiva sudanam madhusudana. It is described that there is something common between false ego and honey. Honey has two characteristics. Honey is sweet and honey is intoxicating. False ego is also like that. False ego is also sweet. When someone glorifies, Prabhu, only you can do this. What you have done, nobody can do. So externally we may say, no. It is all Krishna's grace. But internally the ego says, yes. He has understood me like nobody else. The false ego is sweet, and then when it grows, it can become intoxicating also, like honey. And therefore, Shatrugna means one who is free from the influence of that false ego. Free from that ego, that yes, whatever you say, fine, I agree, which is very, very difficult. I always tell this story that, in Eco Village, after we made the Goshala, Radhanath Swami was pushing us that we should have other animals also. Then we got the goats, we got the sheep. And, coming from Indian background, it was not very easy for us to adjust to all of this. Goshala we can understand, yes. And then he said we should get donkeys also. That was the height. So when he said get donkeys, in a typical our style, we say yes, yes. Because we never say no. So yes, yes. And then he would ask, what happened to the donkeys? Coming soon. On the way. And then he said, how long it is going to take? He said, we are working on it. So then finally, I was having a phone conversation. He was in America. He said, I know you are avoiding this because donkey is not considered socially respectable. You don't want to get into this. But I am telling you, it's very important for different categories of people to get inspired on blind faith. Just get it. Because I am saying, although you are not convinced, keep your IIT brain aside. So then I told some brahmachari, oh, get these donkeys, and he got it. And then when Maharaj came to the eco village next time, we were ready to show him various construction sites. He said, no, I want to see where the donkeys are. And we were thinking, what a privilege. And we went near the donkeys. Then Maharaj began by saying, let us name them first. And I was thinking, oh, people are not getting Diksha. The donkeys are getting names. And they were given the name Kamala and Ambuja. And then we went near the donkeys. And when we went near and Maharaj wanted to touch them, the donkeys ran away. Maharaj turned to me and said, why are the donkeys running away? I was thinking, how do I know? Am I a donkey? And he said, the donkeys are running away because wherever they were before, they were mistreated. And therefore, we have to make them human friendly. How will you make them? By regularly brushing them. So I looked at him and said, who will massage them? And Maharaj looked at me and said, you. At that time, I got an identity crisis. Who am I? Did I join ISKCON too soon? And then finally, we organized somebody locally to do all of this, taking care of them. Few months later, one very prominent yoga school, one of the biggest in the world, they came. They were looking for a proper place in India where they could bring groups every year. And so they were also exploring, amongst other places, the eco village also. I gave them a detailed tour, showed them this, that, the facilities, yoga studio. And then, I also brought them to the place where these donkeys were. And they looked at the donkeys, and first question they asked me, what do the donkeys do? I said, nothing. They just eat, and they just roam, and we take good care of them. And they turned to me and said, wow, one of our principles is animal care. For our yoga philosophy, very, very important element is respect for animals. And the kind of respect you are giving to these donkeys, we have never seen anywhere in India. And therefore we have decided every year we will bring our group to eco village only. I looked at the donkeys and did pranam. I did not understand their glories before. They had such marketing potency. I underestimated. So therefore, with respect to sadhus, as Kapila says, Lord Kapila says, various ornaments are gifted by the Lord when the Lord is pleased with our devotional service. And from Ramayana, we can see Lord Ram represents integrity, Lakshman represents service attitude, Bharat represents tolerance, and Shatrughna represents humility. And these are four primary qualities which we need as sadhus. सुशील सहिष्णु शांत वदान्य गंभीर मधुर वचन मधुर चेष्टा महाधीर. Haridas Pandit, the follower of Srila Rupa Goswami, demonstrated these qualities which made him qualified to lead the Radha Govinda Mandir in Vrindavan. Sushila, well behaved, Sahishnu, tolerant, Shanta, very peaceful, Vadanya, very magnanimous, Gambhir, very grave, Madhur Vachan, very sweet in his speech, Madhur Cheshta, very sweet in his dealings, Mahadhir, very sober, Sabara Samman Karta Koren Sabar Hit, Kautilya Matsarya Himsa Najani Tarachit, respectful to all, Sabar Samman Karta, Koren Sabar Hit, always doing good to others, and no trace of fault finding, Kautilya, no trace of Matsarya, envy, no trace of hinsa or trying to be violent or bring down someone. All of these qualities were seen in Haridas Pandit, the example of an ideal sadhu. And the most ideal quality as a sadhu, what he had was Vaishnavera gunagrahi na dekhai dosh, koi mane vakya kore Vaishnava santosh. He would only see the good qualities in others and overlook any negativities. Understanding that unless I get sadhu kripa, nothing can happen. And therefore Thakur Haridas is described as what? That Krishna namavishtamana sada Haridas oranye rodita hoilas tribhava prakash. So absorbed in chanting the holy name, and that absorption was the cause by which he was protected. Mayadasi prema mage ithe ki vismay sadhu kripa nama bina prema na janmay. Maya Devi came to test Haridas. She became Dasi. And she started begging for prema from Haridas Thakur at Shantipur. Maya Dasi prema mage ithe ki vismay. What is so astonishing? Because prem cannot manifest unless these two things are there in our life of a sadhaka. Sadhu kripa nama bina prema na janmay. Each one of us in sadhana bhakti need these two. Sadhu kripa, the grace of the sadhu, and nama, the pure chanting of the holy name. Then only prema can manifest. Therefore we are here in the Rise retreat to beg for these two, Sadhu Kripa and Shuddhanam. And that's the whole purpose behind this Shravanam, Kirtanam, Satsanga, reciprocation amongst the devotees in this wonderful satsang organized by Keshav Maharaj and his team. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. I'm trying to serve the sadhu, Keshav Maharaj. Whatever you say, whatever Mayank allows. Maybe we want to hear a comment from Sachinandan Maharaj. Sadhu. On sadhus from sadhu.
Hare Krishna, I thank you very much for bringing out these qualities from Ramayana. It's very interesting to hear that Valmiki Muni takes each one of the four to represent a principle, integrity, service, spirit. Please help me. Tolerance for Bharata, and humility for Shatrugna. Yes. It's very important that I think these qualities are there in your spiritual qualities. They may be present in each soul to some degree, and they come out when the heart is purified, almost like the natural shine of a mirror comes forth once the dust is removed. So yes, let us all pray that by the mercy of the Holy Name, this coverings which should give us so much problems, that they can be removed. Hare Krishna.
Any question? Anyone else? Yes, let us hear from, because doctor can ask me in lunch table also. Here, Prabhu. Oh, sorry. Somebody else? You can ask.
Hare Krishna, Gauranga Prabhu. Thank you so much. One of the qualities which comes out in Ramayana everywhere is the sacrifice. Everybody makes a sacrifice, and I was just sort of thinking, does that kind of play into the sadhu's qualities as well?
Yes. So before I answer, I will request Sachinandan Maharaj, in your next trip to India, allow me to organize your darshan at Ayodhya at the new Ram temple and Ram Lala's darshan. So it's a really beautiful deities and beautiful temple, and every day at least 500,000 people are coming now for darshan. It's an amazing transformation which has happened. So yes, sacrifice basically means there are two principles and we have to choose one out of the other. There are things which are enjoyable and there are things which are valuable. There is enjoyable and valuable. So to choose valuable over the enjoyable is what is known as sacrifice. So therefore, we have decided that Krishna Prema is more valuable, and therefore we are willing to give up various indulgences. Give up that which is, so nobody can deny that there is some pleasure in sense gratification. There is some pleasure. But why do we decide to give that up? We are sacrificing that. Why? Because we choose the valuable. So therefore, it's not like a one-time decision. Every moment we are at the crossroads of making that decision and choice. So it's a moment-to-moment conflict. That's why the Gita is spoken on battlefield. Because every moment the conflict is going on between the valuable and the enjoyable, and every moment we have to shoot the enjoyable and pick the valuable. Okay? Does it make sense? But it sounds simpler than it is. Next question.
There was one question in the corner.
Yeah, corner.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you for a wonderful class.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
I would like to ask a question about tolerance.
Yes.
How I've understood that from your class is that we resist anger in our response to provocation, or how we perceive provocation. Can you advise the alternative, practically speaking, how should we respond
Hmm.
in practical terms? Thank you.
Thank you. So, Krodha is described as Kamanuja, the younger brother of lust. So, Kamat Krodho Bijayate. So, unfulfilled desire results in anger. So, there is anger at a personal level and anger at a organizational or institutional level. So, the response has to be different. So there are three types of responses. First is a political response, which is very commonly described in the Mahabharata. Someone harms me, I want to attack back, hit back. Right? So the political response is what a Kshatriya is trained for. Kshatriya means they have to fight against injustice, protect. So there has to be political response. And therefore Mahabharata, the Pandavas were wronged and they had to fight against the Kauravas. So that's the political response. Second is emotional response. That someone does something to me, I get so affected, I lose hope, I become morose, disenchanted, discouraged, distressed, and therefore I lose my enthusiasm and lose my determination to serve also, and start going back to the old ways of behavior. So that's an emotional response. That is, something which will be disempowering. But the third is the most important from the practicing Vaishnava's point of view, is the devotional response. What is devotional response? That there is a situation of calamity, but I see that as Krishna's plan and then respond accordingly. Like Parikshit. There is a curse. The curse was definitely not just. It was unjust from the perspective of the apparent crime which Parikshit Maharaj had committed, had just put a dead snake around the rishi. For that to be sentenced to death was definitely not justice. And as a Kshatriya, he could have been provoked to anger. But the Bhagavatam begins with devotional response. That there will be situations where we just have to accept that and learn how to respond. So he says, Tasyeva meghasya paravaresho vyasakta chittasya grihesho bhikshanam nirveda mulo dvijishaparupo yatra prasakto bhayamashu dhatte. That yes, I have been cursed, but I see this curse as a means to detach myself and take shelter of Krishna. That's the devotional response. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON so that we can learn the devotional response. We don't come to this Vaishnava Sangha to learn the political response. Of course, when the ISKCON as an institution is attacked and the interests of the institution are under threat, so those who are invested with the trusteeship of protecting the interests of the organization and are at leadership roles which mandates them to take action, then they will do the needful. But for the common, regular sadhaka devotees, they should come into the association to learn the devotional responses. And that's kind of most important. Otherwise, in the Vaishnava Sangha, when we start showing political response, then that becomes a big problem. So Rupa Goswami was finance minister, Sanatan Goswami prime minister, Ramanand Rai governor, Prataprutra Maharaj king, top associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were professional politicians, bread and butter politician. Their whole lifelong career track was politics. But when they joined Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they did not show any political tendencies in the Sangha. And therefore, Kaviraj Goswami says, Murkhani cha kshudramai vishaya lalas Vaishnavagya bole kore etek sahas. I am only concerned with the Vaishnavagya and I want to be a servant. That's the mood. Like one devotee, kind of Kshatriya quality, he was always very, in a fighting mood. And sometimes that fight would go to the devotees also. He was fighting with outside elements, dealing with property issues, this, that. So devotees were complaining to me that, he listens to you, tell him to be peaceful. He's too aggressive. And not only he is aggressive, he is chastising us that we are not aggressive. Thinking that we are useless. So give him a break. So I told this devotee, you are too much of Kshatriya and not every day is a battle, Baba. So you relax. So you better go for a, dham parikrama. So there was a holy parikrama to Badrinath. So I said, Badrinath is ice cold. So your head will also become cool. So, Gurukuli group was going from Vrindavan, Gurukul, to Badrinath for yatra. I said, I'll tell them that you also travel with them. So we booked his ticket and I told him, just study Bhagavatam. Don't take any of your legal cases, no police station, nothing. So he took Bhagavatam with him, sat in the train, Mathura Junction. Train was about to start. He opened the Bhagavatam. He phoned me up and said, I'm just beginning to study Bhagavatam, following your instruction. I said, very good, excellent. And then the next seat, in the next coupe, was these Gurukul children. Some local people entered and started chastising the children. It is not your seat, it is our seat. Move aside, we want to sit here. And one Gurukul boy came to this Prabhu and said, Prabhuji, they are attacking us. And he heard, attacking? He closed the Bhagavatam. He went to where these people were arguing, gave a few slaps to the guy, caught hold of him by the collar, took him to the railway police station, registered a complaint. The train was moving, he pulled the chain, make sure everything was sorted out. And after the whole thing was done, he came back, called me, and he said, Prabhu, sincerely I started reading Bhagavatam, but Seva came searching for me. What can I do? So yes, Brahmanas are those who are absorbed in acquiring knowledge. And they fight against various kinds of ignorance. So all are fighters. Brahmana fights against ignorance and gets absorbed in acquiring knowledge. Kshatriya gets absorbed in conflict. Conflict absorbs the Kshatriya. You may see an advocate or lawyer sitting and reading books for hours. You should not think he's Brahman. Oh, so peaceful. But what is absorbing him is conflict. So conflict absorbs a Kshatriya. And a Kshatriya is fighting against injustice. Vaishya gets absorbed in cash coming in. Cash coming in gives him ecstasy. Cash going out gives him trauma. Nervous breakdown, heart attack. And I've personally seen how people get emotionally affected. Even brahmacharis, saffron, no bank balance, zero money in their pocket. But Vaishya tendency, when they see something going, means it's like their heart is going out. So therefore, they fight against insufficiency. And Shudra means one who is absorbed in stability. They just want something stable, no change. When something is assured year after year, they can go on doing that. Right? And they are fighting against indolence or laziness. So therefore, all of these qualities have to be engaged and dovetailed in Krishna's service. So if someone has above average, I'm just responding to your point, that some people may have above average intolerance. That is an ornament for a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya's fuel is intolerance. Because if a Kshatriya becomes tolerant, how will he fight injustice? So when we were in the eco village, we wanted to appoint security guards and security dogs. So we were, the police person was a close friend, and he said you should get guard dogs because you have 100 acres to guard, and the security person at night becomes afraid going around the corners of the 100 acres. So if the dogs are there, he'll feel, fearless. So what kind of dogs to get? So they said in the police department, what they do is they just get 2-3 puppies and they just pick up the puppy by the ear, and when the puppy shouts the loudest, that puppy is the most intolerant. And therefore they are chosen to be the best guard dog. So therefore, for guarding, protecting, fighting against injustice, someone who is provoked easily and becomes angry fast is highly qualified. So therefore, if anyone has those tendencies, then it is the duty of the administration and management and leadership to engage them in those roles. So then society also benefits. Otherwise, some injustice is going on and you say, okay, all Krishna's will. What can be done? Right? Like in a river next to the eco village, someone jumped into the river thinking that he knows swimming. In the middle of the river, he realized he can't make it the other side. And he started shouting, help me, help me. And the devotees on the bank started chanting Narsing Aarti. So one of the devotees was trained to, save people when they are drowning. So he jumped in, caught hold of him and brought him out. Right. So there is a particular skill required for every situation. So anger per se is not wrong or not bad, but we need people with anger to use the anger at the right place, at the right time, in the right way. And that's what Krishna tells Arjuna. When Arjuna says, I want to become beggar, I won't kill Duryodhan, Dushasan, I will go and beg, I am peace loving. Krishna said, you are a Kshatriya, Arjun. You take a kamandalu in your hand and go out begging with a begging pot. When someone insults you, you will become angry, you will hit him with that begging pot and kill him. And there will be murder. So better you kill in a bona fide way on a battlefield where killing is bona fide. So therefore, anger has its place, has its use, but has to be carefully engaged. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Thy Gaur Premanande.